Hey, thank you for tuning in
Hey,
to
how's it going?
our podcast. Daniel, you don't count right now, so don't say hi. This is for the listeners. Either way, we are here.
Not
Stop
listening.
pouting.
La
Stop
la la
pouting.
la 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 la.
Okay, apparently today on this episode, we have gone back to second grade. Either way, thank you for tuning
Well,
into
wait, wait,
our.
wait, 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 wait,
Here we go
wait,
again. He just
wait.
thinks this is
The
fun.
first thing, no, come on, second grade. The first thing that she says, and we're talking about what we're going to talk about, is we're going to discuss this topic. You can't even speak proper English. Then she says something about children's. Children is the plural of child. Uh, Anybody know what that
I'm,
means? I don't. I have no idea
I'm
what's happening.
I am having a day. So yes, Daniel is right. My words are not flowing today properly.
We're both
So it
second grade.
could it could be a very interesting episode. So I guess, yeah, thanks Daniel. I was hoping to get through without completely fucking everything up, but now that
Nope.
you busted my ass, I guess we'll just flow through it. It'll be what it is. So if I say some screwed up words, just laugh. Okay. Can you just shut up? Give me like 30 seconds. Thank you. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to our podcast. It is essential to approach it with an open mind. Daniel and I want to emphasize that our perspectives stem from, if you guys don't tune into YouTube, you kind of need to. He's being a nerd. Our perspectives stem from our personal experiences and how we perceive this topic through our own lenses. We are not imposing our views on anyone, whether it's because it's
Sorry,
because
folks.
you're over there
English is
fucking
not our
off,
first language
pretending
or her
like
second
you're
one.
falling asleep. Okay. Rather, we are inviting you to listen in on our conversation as we share our stories and beliefs. Our aim is to offer support to those who may feel isolated, unclear, or who are simply looking for support in their own self growth. We acknowledge the uniqueness of each individual's journey and extend our respect to all viewpoints, and we request the same in return. On this episode, we are talking about shoes versus barefoot. So it's protection or freedom. We are exploring the dynamics of protection versus vulnerability and how sometimes we need boundaries and other times true freedom comes in letting them down. And even though Daniel is being like,
Ooh,
Daniel,
I want to interject something really quick.
I wanted to say something. Fine.
Go ahead.
Little boys go first.
Yeah,
We really got to accomplish something on this episode. So just go.
go ahead. I was going to say.
No, you
That's,
go.
well, all I was going to say was the whole toe reading thing. Because for those of you who don't know, Jamie does do the toe reading thing. And we just usually we'll jump on here and talk for a little bit just to kind of gear things up, get the ideas flowing, get Jamie trying to speaking normal English. And then no, but you mentioned toe ring. There was like the idea of which you just the title of the podcast, which is not about this, but I'm going to go here anyway. Because you said the shoes versus barefoot, and it just hit me in this moment that like the toe ring thing, because I think Jamie was actually just talking about kind of putting her on the spot, by the way. Um, but maybe doing like a live workshop kind of thing, which if you guys are interested in that, I would totally reach out to her and let her know. But and she even talked about this super cheap rate on it, which probably way less than it should be. But anyway, point being, um the interesting thing about that is, because she's described some of this to me. And when you said that, it just kind of sparked this thought for a minute that the whole toe reading thing is really circles back around to knowing yourself.
Yes.
Because the more you know about you, the easier it is to make decisions that you know is going to improve your quality of life. Because oftentimes we make decisions out of just randomness or stumbling around in the dark. We often make decisions trying to avoid something rather than try to fulfill something. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. That it was just a random moment, but I just want to throw it out there that the whole toe reading thing that we were just talking about that you do, which I find fascinating. I've never even heard of this till me and you guys talking. Um, I thought, how fascinating is that as a way to get even more of that self awareness, so that you're not just stumbling around in the dark. And
It
what a way
is
to do it.
true. It's true. I mean, toe reading, like even for myself, I'm always reading my toes. Like an epiphany I had just the other day. Like the I don't want to make this sound gross, and it's all in perspective. It's not like a disgusting way, but the skin on my right foot is thicker than the skin on my left foot. Like callus wise, it's always been that way for the last, I don't know how many years. And the other day, I'm like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Because I am a toe reader. What it really means is that because in toe reading, the right foot represents your interactions in the outside world. The left foot represents your interactions with your higher self, your, like if you believe in God or universe or whatever that is for you. And it made sense with all that I've been through. That thicker skin means that I'm protecting myself from the outside world. But yeah, you are right,
Exactly.
Daniel.
It's
Uh,
fascinating. I do.
yeah.
I like it.
So,
I just had to throw it out there because it's just
yeah.
fascinating to me. And I thought, you know what? That's such a good moment right there. So, yeah. Now we're kind of
In
forcing
brief,
Jamie to do something.
in brief, no, I want to. Like, I'm
I know.
hosting a ridiculously low, I'm calling it a toe reading party just because I want to get together with people and have fun and talk about toes. Really, that's it.
Well,
Um,
I think it's something that, again, I've never heard of it. So, that should tell you that be out there more with it, woman.
I don't know. It's a very unique thing. But in brief, because people are gonna be well, like, what the fuck is that? How can I learn about myself through my toes? Just in brief, your right side represents your interactions in the outside world. Your left side is your interaction with your higher self. And through that, you can learn about your destiny in life, your communication, your action in life, your relationships, trust and abundance, just a whole wide variety of things. So, yeah, thank you, Daniel, for kind of putting that all together. I actually thought about that when I was looking at our notes earlier, and I was like, oh, this kind of falls into the toe reading category, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But
That's the reason why it kind
yeah,
of hit me like that, too. So, yeah, carry on. I just
well,
had to say it.
initially, the very first response that I had when we decided to do this topic was like you and me connecting and what that journey was like, because I had a choice to have those boundaries really high, or I had the choice to really allow my walls to go down. And that was tough. That was tough for me because history says with relationships that I've had so many people say, Jamie, I would never do that to you. Jamie, I would never do that to you, especially men. And they all have. They have all done exactly what they said they wouldn't do. And so that's been like, well, not all, but the great majority by all, yeah. The greatest majority of them have all done that. And I've had a lot of girlfriends too that have done the same thing, and it's been a rough go, really rough. So when you and I started talking, I'm like, fuck, here we go again. Here's another dude that's going to say that da 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 and counteract himself. And it was really hard for me to step into a place of finding that balance. And I did it with the mindset of I'm going to honor myself Because I think when we put those boundaries up, and like when you and I connected for the first time, I could have just put boundaries up and that actually could have done a lot of damage. But I kind of channeled it like, okay, I'm going to honor myself. I have this question or I have this issue or whatever it is with Daniel. And by honoring myself, I can bring it to his attention and just say, hey, I'm kind of standing up for me, but it's also being vulnerable. And it's always worked out in the most amazing way. So it's also remembering you're not all the other people that have done that to me. Because where it's not fair for us to judge a human for what other people have done. It still is scary because that's what's been done. And a lot of times, so many times, because we have this subconscious thing where we don't realize it, but we're following the damn patterns in our life. And it's not until we recognize them and we get the courage to break them that we can grow.
Well, we build up those patterns because of past experiences, because that is the efficiency of our mind, is to
Yeah.
say, oh, this is like that. So we're going to lump that into this category. It makes it easier to process things and to build up belief systems. That's a good thing when it comes to walking or driving your car or going to work, right? Because you can do that almost mindlessly. Um, but when it comes to things like relationships or building a business, one of the things that putting yourself out there, right? Well, and this most people can probably relate. In school, at some point, you put yourself out there and you got made fun of.
Mm.
All of a sudden, your mind says, "Oh, that's harmful," because it caused all these negative thoughts. And when I was in second grade and try to put myself out there, and now when I put myself out there, it's the idea that this is like that. This like here, trying to put myself out here at 45 is the same as trying to put myself out there at 7 years old. And your mind associates those two together. And that so it causes that pullback, right? Um, and that's kind of yeah, kind of the negative side to that, if you will.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I love this topic because if you think about it, just the fact that shoes protect our feet. And think about how many times people don't ever want to go barefoot because they don't like the feeling of the grass or the earth or the stones or the cement or whatever it is they're walking on. But magic happens when we do take our shoes off and we feel the earth because the earth has so much energy to offer us. And instead of going into this place of complete protection, to feel that earth touch our feet without that barrier can be so refreshing. And when you kind of put those two thoughts together with like relationships, and you really do think about shoes, because I mean, you could walk around your lawn and them fucking thistles, they hurt, And if you don't have a nice, cushy lawn, like you are vulnerable to step on things and it's going to hurt. But there's also that beautiful part of feeling the grass or the sand or whatever you're walking on. I don't know. Now I'm feeling kind of trancy because I can't wait to do that, honestly. I can't wait to feel my feet in the grass in summer and the sunshine and all the things.
Yep. That's something it's funny because I love going to the ocean. Um, love the water. Have for most of my life. But one of those things I love about the ocean is walking into the water and feeling the soft sand beneath my feet.
Hmm.
Um, I love the smell and the feel of salt water. It's
I've never been to the ocean. I need to get there.
You got to get there. What?
I do. I've never been to the ocean.
You would probably love it. I'm serious because
It's on my bucket
there's
list.
there's something kind of, and even now I'm a really good swimmer, but I'm also smart, I don't take
You
unnecessary
are.
risks. See
Oh,
what I
that
got to deal
look
with,
was
people.
so worth the comment. That
See what
look
I got to
was
deal with.
so worth the comment. Okay, carry on.
This is what I have to deal with. No, as nice as I am to her. Anyway, um,
Oh, y'all heard that, right? You
they
remember
know
the
it.
beginning of the episode?
All you people
Oh,
that listen that know Jamie, I understand. Anyway, um,
keep going.
no, but it is. It's just that it's just kind of the um, it's when you were talking there, I started thinking back because over the last several years, I've really started stepping outside of my own comfort zone, especially the last few years with hypnosis and the inner work. And I never even had thought about this before, but I started thinking back because it kind of something occurred to me. It even happened this morning, oddly enough, is that I will run outside in my socks, bare feet, anything now. And I had this horrible, horrible feeling of doing that when I was younger.
Hmm.
And I was just wondering, I was like, I wonder if that's kind of a correlation, but because I've noticed now that I will, do certain things, like even go outside with a coat on when it's blistering cold, because there's something about being, not, I mean, for a brief amount of time, not, you know, to the point to where it's stupid, but there's something about being kind of unprotected against the elements that makes me feel stronger.
That's really weird. I just have to interrupt for 1 second. You said the exact words other than stronger that I was thinking. The only difference was the word stronger. That's really cool. Anyway, continue.
But to that point is that, you know, I have had a lot of thoughts right now.
Mhm.
I'm picking, my brain's going 100 miles an hour. But even something you had just said a little bit ago about the people in your life that's kind of, said, made promises, didn't keep them, right? And no discredit those people, but then me and you got connected and we've had very little conflict. I don't even call it conflict, but any differences we've had has been easily resolved. And, just like the one little thing, that we talked about last year when we first started doing the podcast, right? And just those little things that we were just honest with each other. But it got me to thinking because same in that sense that I have had a lot of those people in my life that came in strong. But I'm a deep thinker.
Mhm.
I mean, I can go zero to deep in in like 1.7 seconds. Okay. It's how I'm built. But I've been criticized that by pretty much most of the people, like 95% or higher of the people in my life. I've been criticized because you're always going deep. I just can't see what you see. I can't, I don't go there. I don't, why you always got to talk
Man,
about,
I
and,
feel your pain with that. It's a struggle.
and, and it even got me to thinking right there as you were saying that I've noticed that, well, I'll just say it. There's two people in my life that I don't worry about that with. There's two people in my life that I lay things out with to a very high degree. And we had our own guest as our guest, right? It's you and it's my other friend Ina here. Shout out to Ina. Um, being on the podcast, awesome. But the being very selective about that has helped me to see that, and kind of coming full circle about the boundaries thing, is that I can absolutely pick and choose my friends. I don't have, look, I can be friendly with anybody, and I try to be. Some people are just assholes, and I don't have a low tolerance for stupidity. But anyway, um, being honest, but uh, but I think about that, and I think, man, even setting boundaries with the people that I choose to let see that side of me, instead of always throwing myself out there and hoping somebody accepts it. Like, I've learned to just look at people and be like, okay, you're not my people. So, you know, people again, Jamie, like Ina, I can go deep, go deep in a minute. you know, you know,
Yeah.
we've had those conversations, right? And just drop way down there. But I also understand that other people, it's just like, oh, there's a boundary here. There's a line. I don't need to cross it, because sometimes they just look at me like a deer in the headlights. Sometimes I've been ridiculed for it. And for me, it's like, okay, you can't handle my mentality. Doesn't make that person bad. It just means we're not compatible, if you will. And um, yeah, just setting that boundary in that moment is mind you, a boundary is not a wall either. It's more like a fence. You can see over it. You just have to have permission to go past it. So it's not necessarily about guarding it as it is about protecting what's valuable. Because I understand now that my ability to go deep and think deep is what makes me a good hypnotist, what makes me a good mindset, kind of coach and person and everything else, because I love digging in there. I'm fascinated with how the mind works. I'm fascinated with what makes, humans tick. I
Mm-hmm.
love learning. I'm fascinated with it. And so for me, I understand that not everybody's that way. That's fine. But just understand that if you're not that way, I'm not going to go there with you, because I'm not going to share what I know to be value just for you to not see the value of it. But yeah, I
There's
don't know.
there's that whole piece though where I think that's why we connect and get along so well with very little conflict. It's because when you have two people that can see the depth of where you're located and they're communicating, it's like, oh, this isn't about me. Like she's just going through something right now. Or like, this last week, I hadn't heard from you in 3 days and I was genuinely concerned. And I didn't take it upon myself. It's like, hey, just let me know you're okay. Yep, I'm okay. Just a lot going on, just busy. Okay. Silent for days. And he said he's okay. I trusted it. No big deal. Well, when you have two people that are on completely opposite pages, there's, I don't want to, there's a doubt that is placed there that I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to get it out. There's just that doubt where someone might not be fully trusting because when you're on that deeper level, there just seems to be more of a knowing. I don't know. But somebody might, like all the listeners, they could be like, well, how do you know where to have a boundary and what the boundary looks like? So I'm going to invite you to picture for a moment like a bullseye. And the bullseye has like three rings. And in the bullseye, in the very center, you have your super close people. So, like for Daniel, it would be Ina and I and Daniel, right? So then after that, you have your next circle around the bullseye. That's where you have your closer people that you really care about. you trust, but you maybe know that you can't like talk super deep with them, or there's certain things that, they're really cool people in your life. You love them, you'll share things with them, but maybe not your deepest, darkest secrets. Then you have your third ring. Those are the people that you're like, I kind of like hanging out with them once in a while, but overall, they're not the best person to keep close to me. So, if we get together once a month or we talk once a month or once every other month, that's good enough for me, kind of keeping them at bay, filtering what you talk about with them. And then you have outside of the bullseye, those are the people that are not good for you, do not
Yeah.
belong in your life, and it's
They can go
okay to break that connection.
they can go die in
It
a
is
ditch. They
okay,
can
that's a little
they can
harsh.
they can shit and fall back in it. Anyway.
That one's a little bit better than dying in a ditch. So I just invite you to picture that and examine the people in your life and just reflect on,
have strong boundaries.
which section they belong in, because that can really help you understand that the person in the third ring, it's okay that they're there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just there's nothing wrong with you and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just the connection isn't that strong, but they might still have a little bit of beneficial value to have in your life. But the bullseye, keep that circle small, because that's some sacred vulnerable stuff right there. And you want to
A
have the
hundred
right
percent.
people, because whoever's in that bullseye, you want to know that they're going to build you up and they're going to naturally provide what you need in life, versus um having someone that appears like, because sometimes we say like this is toxic or that's toxic. It doesn't make you or the other person toxic. It just means you're in different areas of life and it's not meshing. So that can cause toxicity, but that doesn't mean one or the other is bad. So I invite you to reflect in the next few days or month about what your bullseye looks like. And if you have to, draw it out, write the names down, you know?
A few things on that because I love the bullseye analogy. I want to take that even more instructional, if you will. And that is, first of all, knowing yourself and what's most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. That's
Again,
number one.
yeah, beginning of the episode, Jamie with the toe reading, right? Knowing yourself is extremely, extremely important because you don't know what to set boundaries with if you don't know what's most valuable to you. If you don't know what's important to you in life, you're not going to know where to set boundaries. This causes more conflict instead of resolution. So, first thing is knowing yourself. Okay. And that's where you can just sit with yourself. And even, that's just real quick. Coaching world is called a values assessment. You'll generally get that 1 or 2 word answer. Like you could say something like this: just get in a quiet place, you can even close your eyes, just focus on your breath for maybe 3 breaths. Take just 3 deep breaths. And then when you let out the third one, you could simply say, what's most important to me about my career? It could be money, it could be time, it could be learning, it could be any of those things, right? They're going to be those things are going to is this what's called a value assessment, and then do that for your health, do that for your relationships. What's most important to me about my intimate relationships, or my friendships, or my the relationship with my kids, right? And they're going to be those descriptive words. Now, like for me, career wise, the most important thing for me is transformation. I am just a monster for transformation. I love it. Uh, but knowing yourself in those moments, sitting with yourself, something I firmly believe not enough people do. Just taking some time and just sit with yourself and just listen to your own mind without judgment, without any expectation.
Because the truth is, a lot of times, I just have to say this, a lot of times we think about ourselves in a way we want to be versus honoring how we actually are. And I know this through toe reading because I have traits in myself where I want to be this way. And the truth is, if I connect what my toes say to the actual reality in life of what my system actually craves and works best at, my toes are spot on. So I've had to work really hard at just accepting that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
that was
good.
like super important.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100% agree with that. So yeah, just sitting with yourself, just sitting with yourself where you are. Again, like you say, not even necessarily what you want to be, but where you just the person that you are. And, on that note, even that oftentimes some of those genuine desires that we have is because there's a desire there to become something because we already are something. We're just not living in alignment with that something. So it's not that you're not that motivational speaker or hypnotist or good father or a good mother or a good husband or a good wife or a good employee or a good entrepreneur. It's the fact that you are, but you're just not living in full alignment with that. Just see that as that. Okay. Not judgment, just information. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say in understanding those who to allow closer into the bullseye is first of all, trust your intuition, that gut feeling. You learn to trust that. If people kind of look nice on the surface, but they kind of give you that, I don't know,
That ick
then
feeling that,
yeah,
yeah,
then that's where you kind of put up some caution tape, if you will. Now, this is something I've personally learned to do because these two go kind of hand in hand. When I get intuition about person, especially if it's something that's kind of like, I don't know if these are, I don't know, I mean, this person's going to mesh so well together. Um, then I actually start running what I call tests. And this is, I give a little more of myself, not a lot, but just a little bit of it, of like some of maybe the deep conversations or something like that I was talking about earlier. I just go a little bit deeper and see how they respond, see how they respond, react, and I'll put certain things out there to kind of just test that relationship. Not in a negative way, but just see how they respond to me and what I'm, you know, the type of person I really am. And if it's a good response, then okay, we test a little further. Maybe they can move in a layer, right? And if not, then not. But I know this may sound, some people think that's odd. um, but again, it's something that I found has worked for me. And again, it's not to label people or dump people into a category. Um, but it is to understand yourself and what's most valuable to you. Because there's nothing worse, and I've done this for most of my life. There's nothing worse than being in any type of a relationship with anybody, whether it's business, personal, friend, intimate, any of it, even your kids. I love something Jordan Peterson says: don't let your kids become a person that you don't like. I mean, it's, because we all, everybody's supposed to love kids. No, no, I've met kids that I don't like. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't like them. I can feel it. I mean, they're self-centered, they're selfish, and it's just you can just see it all over them, and it just pisses me off. Now I know it's more of a reflection of their parents, but anyway, and that's just one of those things that I'm being real. This is again some of those things that people don't always like about me, and that's all right. You don't have to. But I'm not sure bullseye people. So, um, but just understand that you absolutely have the right to choose that and test those things. I do that. I still do that. You know, I've always done that. I mean, I just as long, I've just never been good at seeing the signs. I'm very good at reading people. I'm just not very good at holding or enforcing my own boundaries when I see what I see. So it's gonna be some bad decisions. Won't talk about that now, but anyway. But I mean, I've connected myself with people that's absolutely just completely toxic for my life, and did shit ton more harm than good. Um, but which I take personal responsibility for that because I saw the signs and you know just didn't kind of put some distance between us, right? Um, but yeah, just understand that you can test that, trust your intuition, and just give a little more of yourself and see how they respond. If they reciprocate that, and if they're okay with that, then you know that you can probably build something a little more deeper. And something in my case that I've been very, very attentive to over the last couple of years is this: don't try to pull somebody into a deep relationship with you for the sake of feeling alone,
Mm.
because that's selfish on your part. And I've done it, and it's been selfish on my part. Allow people to go there with you, but don't try to pull them there. It's not fair. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. It's
What a
just,
beautiful point.
you know, just don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll find people. I mean, it's taking me this long to find these two. I mean, literally. I mean,
Right?
I'm just being honest. Like, you
And
know, but
the interesting thing is sometimes I'll still get in my head, well, what if Daniel this and what if Daniel that? And I'm like, okay, I have a choice right now. I can let that I can let my brain go down that rabbit hole, or I can step back into this place of trust because our system always wants to protect us. So I think that's a place where people can really trip up too, is going to that place. You've never given me a reason to not trust you. That's how I know I can trust you. Well, other than when you're, an asshole on here, but I mean, I know the true core of your heart, Daniel. It's okay. You just have to put on a good show. I get it. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that in front of other people.
I'm going to mail you a black eye. Anyway,
No, but like, for real. I mean, we have a choice. Our system is always going to want to protect us, so it's always going to place a little bit of doubt in there, and you have a choice to recognize, is this doubt valuable or not? And
no,
go ahead.
I'm going to share something that's probably it's very personal to me, so it's probably a little more vulnerable on my part. You know,
Hey, that's where I started the podcast, so bring it, buddy.
it, it may, you know, it has the potential to maybe cause some issues, but I don't really care. Um, but the the interesting thing, and I was oddly enough, I have discussed this with recently. The interesting thing about this is that I was kind of in that hopeless place of thinking that kind of felt isolated, right? Felt kind of alone on this whole, felt alone in this whole island. And because again, I'm a very, very deep thinker. I just, I can go all kinds of different directions, right? I can just go way, way into the depths and just be fine with it. I can get lost in thought, and that has often got me a lot of ridicule and all the things, right? Degrading, that kind of stuff. Um, and it was interesting because I know, I mean, you've talked about this, Jamie, as well, but when when I started kind of putting it out there of like, you know, I need to find somebody that, because I didn't really know how to do all this until just the last few years about connecting with people and understanding that, now look, people just ridicule me for this. They're wrong for doing that, but their ability or lack of ability to go super deep like I do is not, it's not a criticism of them. Okay. Some people do, some people don't. We're all people, right? None of us are like better than the other ones. We're just people.
Right.
We're all uniquely different. So, but I say that that was one of those moments of me trying to pull people into my depth that just didn't want to be there. And that wasn't fair to them. Hence, it caused a lot of conflict, the ridicule, and all that kind of stuff. But so I started kind of almost the law of attraction, if you will, right? Or manifestation, or whatever you want to call it. So I started kind of putting it out there that, I need somebody that I can connect with on a deep level. I need somebody that I can go there. And again, just until the last couple of years, I didn't even know what this really was. And when me and you started connecting and having deeper and deeper conversations, as I did, I still, I would test those deep waters further and further with you, and you were always willing to go there. And it was very intriguing to me because it was in the moment that we started really, diving deep. And then of course we talk about doing this, what we're doing now with the podcast. And I understood like, wow, this really is a thing. This really can be a thing. And something I shared with Ina here not too long ago was this: having this conversation and really learning that there are people out there, right, that kind of sparked that hope in me again. It very much did. It sparked that kind of hope that, oh shit, you know, there is the ability to find people to go deep with. And so I started getting intentional about that. And again, not to sound redundant, but when I started looking at that, I started realizing that there was just those two people. I could share things with you on a deep level, and I could share things with Ina on a deep level. And, you know, anybody can say what they want. I know it's two women, but I'm a guy and all this other bullshit. But
Yeah.
that's, you have an issue with that. Well, then you have an issue with that. Okay. But
We could go off on a whole rabbit trail with that, but we'll just leave
but
it. You said it. We're good.
yeah. So, but my point is this, okay, is the fact that testing that waters and not closing myself off because of surrounding myself, trying to pull people into my inner circle that didn't belong there. They didn't want to be there, and I shouldn't have tried it. But then seeing that was okay, actually, finding, again, right now it's two people, finding those two people that are like that has been absolutely liberating for me. Because now
I
I can bounce off ideas off of you and her, and Nina, but the two of you, I can bounce things off of you guys and understand that, and kind of get a trusted perspective. And that is extremely valuable to me because it's been virtually non-existent in my life. um, so yeah, I just, for whatever that's worth, I just wanted to kind of, you know, put that out there that, um, yeah, finding that sparked that hope in me that it was possible. So
It's crazy because I have so much more peace in my life because I too obviously have been ridiculed. I remember having conversations that didn't even feel deep to me with other people. And looking back, yeah, I can almost see the expression on their face that I couldn't see then because it didn't feel deep to me. It felt surface to me. So when we go deep, we go deep. And can we talk about anything that's not so deep? That's what people would say. Like,
yep, same.
I don't feel like what I'm talking about is deep. So I'm not good at how's the weather? Let's talk about the football game. Let's talk about so and so and what they just did. And did you hear about I'm like not good at that stuff. That stuff people often think that I don't care about their life because I'm not in their business. Like, look, if you need me, reach out. I'm here for you. But I'm not going to follow your personal business and be nosy and then spread it out to other people. Whether
Yeah,
it's gossip or factual doesn't matter to me. I have no desire. I want to talk about quality. I want to talk about value. I want to talk about how to make life better and go into the realms of all the deep stuff. And since you and I have connected, oh my gosh, I feel so much more peace in my life because I'm able to speak with somebody that I can say the most insane, crazy, in-depth thing and you get it. And 90% of the time you'll
same.
elaborate on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned the football game, but and look, I'm a football fan, right? Right.
Yeah, I
So,
see.
I mean, I am. I mean, I really am. But for me, it even with that, even even with,
I'm sure you go really deep with football. That's
I
good.
do because I will dive into I will get into all these statistics and numbers and what people are thinking and just because I'm just not built that way. I am not, I am built to the, yes, like we can step off, but I mean, with me, it's a slope. There's no bottom. It's a constant going deep hill, downhill, if you will, in a good way. For me, and I used to think that was wrong because of all the ridicule and stuff. But I just I understand now doing this with you and is that it wasn't that I was wrong. It was the fact that I was just around the wrong people for me.
Right. You had them in the wrong circle.
Yeah,
They needed
100%.
to be in a farther out circle. I
And
think
that's
that's the
yeah,
beauty of it. That's the beauty is recognizing, okay, this is who I am. This is how I work. And so connecting with this person over here doesn't seem like a really good fit. So I can put them in a different circle. I mean, it's super easy. Just people come into our lives and they're here for a reason and we get to choose where we place them. And I think people a lot of times people don't realize that.
but you
They don't realize that they get to choose,
choice.
yeah, where these people fit into their life. Because there's like just because you and I are super close, there could be I don't have any examples right now, but there could be something that I need that you're not able to provide for me that I could go to this person over here that's not in the same circle because they can provide that for me and that's why they are in one of my circles.
Right.
So holding on to that perspective and being willing to dabble and be vulnerable and play and take off your shoes per se, or knowing when to put your shoes on, or maybe even if you think about it, how thick the soles are. I mean, you could go into so many different metaphors with this, but you said statistics before you were talking about, and I
of
remembered
all.
I looked up some stuff about um like boundaries. So one of the pros to having boundaries, it says according to a 2015 study in psychological science, people with well-defined personal boundaries are less likely to experience emotional burnout and and rapport higher satisfaction in interpersonal relationships. Okay, but the con is a study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology in 2018 showed that chronic emotional avoidance, aka always staying in your shoes, can lead to increased anxiety and decreased emotional resilience over time. I mean, that's essentially when you don't put yourself out there, you're kind of putting yourself in a type of isolation. That's why all the things that we've talked about, like Daniel, thank you for covering that part. I preach that to my clients all the time. Everything starts with you. Nothing can evolve in your life unless you start with you first. You have to have an understanding of who you are, how you work, what what triggers you in positive and negative, what makes you go, what are your interests. Like I was sharing with you before that there's this one trait about myself that's always frustrated me. I'm a super independent woman, but I've always noticed that I work better. Like you and I work really well together. Okay. So I have always worked better with a partner, but I've also realized it has to be the right fitting partner. So my relationship toe on my right foot, which is the external world, kind of curves into my action toe. It's not super strong. And that's always bothered me. It's like I don't want to depend on someone else.
What toes is
What
that?
because so it's the fourth toe on the right foot and it has a slight curve into the third toe, which is the action toe on the right foot. And it literally just means that
Now, when you say
not that
third,
I'm
you talking about like from your big toe, fourth toe from
from
your
the
big toe?
from the big toe out. So
Okay.
your big toe is number 1 and then it goes out. So it kind of just curves slightly in to that action toe. And really, all it means is I work really good with the right partner with whatever, whether it's business or whatever. And
I have the
that
same
has,
thing, by the way.
that really,
Yeah, I have
that
like
has,
a little bit of skin on that fourth toe. Kind of
yeah.
gets a little bunched up because it kind of curls underneath the middle toe, that third toe that you're talking about. Didn't even know that was a
Well,
thing.
so if it curls under, it means that you're slightly hiding because you don't feel good enough. I hope you're okay that I said that.
Oh no, no. Well, I've shared that on here before. That's been an
Yeah,
issue most of my
I
life. Yeah.
figured. Normally I'm very private when people share things about their toes and I know the public can hear, but I know we're
I'm
so
fine with it.
vulnerable on here anyway.
I'm
So,
good with it. I like the information. That's good.
yeah. So, what I would say to you, little mini toe reading piece, this is what will happen in a toe reading party if you want to join. It's super fun. I love this stuff. Is you can actually massage that toe and give it permission to kind of come out and let go of the insecurity. It's okay that it slightly bends in. It just means that's part of your personality and you should be open to
Well,
accepting it, but you don't want
it's
it to hide.
it's interesting because used to because and I'm not just saying this because you said that because I didn't even think about that until you said that. Um, but up until probably like maybe 2 years ago, it would get to the point to where it would kind of get sore
Mm,
underneath that that fourth toe, like the little edge
yeah.
piece of it would kind of get flat and sore ever so often. And when you said that, I was just thinking like, man, it's been like 2 years since that's happened.
Well,
And
a
I've
lot
done a
has
lot of
happened in two
self, yeah,
years.
and I've done a lot of self work over that time. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. That's interesting. Got me fascinated. Where look at my toes.
I mean, it's true. And to be honest, I didn't want to take toe reading. That was the
Along with
last
hypnosis.
class. Yeah, along with hypnosis. That's just all funny, but That was the last class in my program before I had all my certifications and before I could graduate. And I said hell no to that. And they're like, well, then you won't graduate. I'm like, fuck. Now here I am with the most beautiful services that I wanted nothing to do with my coaching program.
Right.
It's don't ever say never and always explore things before you say no. I've
Well,
learned that lesson.
and back to that point is that you get those people in your life and you think that there may be something there that they could actually be your people or closer, your kind of inner circle people. Gradually test that, right? Put yourself out there a little bit, not fully, but just test the depths of that. Is well, going back to what I said earlier, walking out into the ocean. Okay, you don't take two steps and all of a sudden you're floating in the middle of the ocean. There's a progression where you're getting deeper, deeper, deeper. There's certain things certain waves you have to deal with and things like that. There's a lot of little things that you go through getting out to the depth of the ocean where you can really swim. And it's the same. It's kind of the same idea, metaphor, if you will. It is that with people, just gradually explore and stop where you need to, but keep going deeper where you can, because you'll find those relationships well, that push you forward in life. Just like I was saying
We've
about Jamie, it
we've
gave me hope again.
yeah, we've never met in person. I
Yeah,
always forget
yeah,
this. I feel so connected and close to you. I
right.
seriously sometimes I think, holy shit, I've never actually met him in person. And it's
Yeah,
just, it doesn't even matter. I mean, we will meet in person. It's on our bucket list to
do a
record
cool.
in person in the same room. We're gonna do
Yep,
it.
we are. Yep.
We don't know when, but we will. But I forget. This is the beauty of technology. Like,
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll meet at the ocean so that you
yeah.
can be more efficient. So we're in like a conference room or something, record a podcast, and then you can go around the ocean.
Yes.
Be like a whole bucket
Two.
list thing.
Yeah. Two in one moment. That would be awesome. What else can I add to the list
I
then?
mean, right? Yeah, just like do it all. Efficient. It's me. I'm efficient.
Yeah. This is great. This is a great episode. I really enjoyed it. And I really, really hope that the listeners have gotten a lot of value. We were both pretty vulnerable in this one. So,
Yeah, it was. It was amazing. And again, a point that I know I've already made it, but because it's something I struggle with a lot in my life. Boundaries are not walls. They're not meant to hold you, hide you, keep you from the outside world. It's not what boundaries are about.
boundaries is
Bound-
self-respect.
yeah, it's protecting those most valuable parts of you in a way that they're accessible, but they're only accessible by permission given from you. So always remember that it's not about hiding you. It's just about you having the choice and the right to protect what those most valuable parts of you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that said, we are so grateful you take your precious time and spend it with us. I am don't have the exact date set, but I am going to host. I'm going to call it a tour reading party because it's just freaking fun. So it's ridiculously low. Like I'm going with $7, man, just because I want people to hop on. And I
And
also know that if you offer it for free, what?
I mean, like, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I just got something myself
Oh
just
yeah.
from you barely even talking about it. So, guys, if you've been thinking about something like this with self awareness and knowing yourself better, like, jump in on this. I mean, shit, it's seven
Yeah.
dollars. You pay more for a loaf of bread right now.
Oh, yeah. I really just want to get a group of people. And I know that history says when you offer something for free, people are just like, eh, it's, it's just really interesting. So I'm like, well, I was
Right,
going to do it for free. I'm like, I better make people charge something because that spikes a weird thing in our subconscious mind. So
right.
yeah, I don't have the exact date set yet, but yeah, if you're interested, um, make sure you leave your information. Either contact me directly, or you can reach out to Daniel and if you leave your information for us on Buzzsprout, make sure that you leave your name and contact information because Buzzsprout does not let us reach or access your information unless you directly give it to us. But I also do host for the local people in-person meditation at the Tag Center. There is a class tomorrow and 10 a.m. and 6:15 p.m. It's never too late to sign up. You do not have to be a member to attend the classes. That's the number one question I get. I also offer a virtual time at 4:30 Central Time. That's virtually. So if you want that, I can send you the link so you can sign up. But this week we are celebrating you, tapping into joy, tapping into happiness, and reconnecting with all the goodness of life. So if you want to find that goodness within yourself and celebrate you, reach out and I'll hook you up with the link. And I would love to meditate with you. So, what do you have, Daniel? You have something amazing that my people are loving.
Well, yeah, it is a free event. It's a free hypnosis and kind of workshop for weight loss. There's a lot of information in the weight loss space, and I know somebody who struggle with, as myself, who struggle with being overweight, being an over truck driver. Um, Finding out about hypnosis filled in those gaps because a lot of times people give you information what you should do and they expect you just to do it. Uh, the thing for me was my willpower was not strong enough. Then I started learning that nobody's willpower is really that strong. Because if you've got subconscious programming, this counteracting what you're really wanting to do, the subconscious program is going to win 100% of the time. Um, so I created this. It's a free live event. It's for hypnosis for weight loss. It's more about portion control. It's the core foundation. It's certainly not everything, as I can't do everything in one sitting on weight loss or any health and fitness thing. But it is a good Kickstarter for actually cutting down your portion sizes, which will help you reduce your weight, get healthier. It's a good way to get that ball rolling. That's just developing a new subconscious programming to where you just have this new automatic behavior where you just eat less food. And it's just that simple.
I just have to say, Daniel knows his stuff. And I'm not just saying that because he's my podcast partner and we're really connected. He really does. Because for anybody that knows me, I can't have gluten. And it came to a point where I couldn't even eat meat. So now I have a very high carb diet. And I was really, really struggling with my workouts because I was used to the old way that I would work out, even though I was sick. Um, I could do cardio and lift weights and get my whole workout done in one day. And Daniel's like, hey, your body can't tolerate this. You need to break up your cardio and your weights if you're going to do them in the same day. You need to do them at the opposite ends of the day. And, he's also shared a few other things with me, ways to get proteins in that I can maybe tolerate. And he's been there by my side to help me explore. And it's helping me so much. I have now, if I do a cardio in the morning, I have to choose to do weights at night and I can function so much better. I'm not fully there yet, but he's really helped me personalize and tune into what works best for me. So he really does know his shit. And that's just a fact.
Thank you.
So yeah, I had to chime
Well, and
in because
that's
it's helping me so much.
awesome. I'm glad to hear that too. really.
I know I didn't share that with you yet. I was going to tell you. I just told you
Thank
now in
you.
front of everybody.
But yeah, you know, and it's that it's you know, there's kind of that first part of it where it's kind of workshop. I go over some of those basic things that, you know, some of those more simple things that you can do to start getting that ball rolling for changing your health and fitness, because it's a saying that I heard and I absolutely believe, and it is, you know, health and fitness is the gateway drug to success. Because if you start changing that part of your life, it makes other changes in the other parts of your life, um, dare I say, easier, because you get that momentum going, right? And so, yeah, I'm hosting that on Sundays, every Sunday at this point. Don't know how much longer that's going to go on, so get in when you can. um,
I
but
recommend.
every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is New York time for anybody who's outside of the U.S. Um, but yeah, it's a free. You sign up, join, show up, and again, you'll get the information. You'll get the free live hypnosis. You also get a hypnosis recording to listen to for the next 28 days that will absolutely help reshape everything in the way you think about food, as far as, you know, how much food, especially with your portion control. Which,
I
by the
personally
way,
think you shouldn't offer it for free too much longer.
well,
I
and
should
I've thought
say this
about that.
after the podcast. Now it sounds like a
Probably.
sales pitch.
Right. Well, you
I'm
know,
just
honestly,
honestly,
probably.
I'm like lost in us talking together. So I'm thinking we're just hanging out talking. I'm like, well, you maybe should have waited till after the podcast to say that, because now it sounds like I'm just promoting him, giving a
Well,
sales pitch.
and probably, you know, and you know, my I do this, you know, I do have, you know, I do this paid for more sessions, but this is the bulk. The first session is the one that really kickstarts the change. Um, and you know, I charge quite a bit for that. um, but you know, so this is the value of this is highly worth it. I kind of have a passion about it. It's really not that free for me as much as it is. I just, because our country, the U.S., is, you know, we're approaching that 2/3 of our population in the U.S. at the obesity level.
Yeah.
It is horrible, and that is the number one. Cardiovascular issues is still the number one killer in the United States, which is more oftentimes than not linked to poor diet, lack of exercise. Your body just shuts down. It can only take so much. So I guess that's why I kind of have a passion. I'm like, you know, I want to give it away. You know, I have a passion to do that. But you know, yeah, that's something that probably won't do for
Good
free, and probably
stuff.
won't do for you know, a whole lot longer anyway, just as, you know, as I gear up more to other things. But so get in on it when you can. Yeah, but the link will be in the description if you go to our podcast. And then if you look underneath, like the actual podcast as you're listening to it, you'll see where it actually, I know in Apple Podcasts, you can click down and say, it'll actually say the podcast description on the actual episode. Spotify, I'm not sure, but it'll usually be down there somewhere below the actual, like our picture and things like that. I had somebody ask about that. That's the reason why
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there.
All the links to sign up for Daniel's stuff and to sign up for virtual or in person for me, they'll all be in the description of this episode. So
And reach out to us. You know, I'm on
yeah.
Facebook and Instagram and all the other things. So reach out to us if you, you know, me or Jamie, either one, because we both have the links and things like that. So just reach out to us and we will get it to you.
Thank you so much for spending your precious time with us. We appreciate all the support, all of the positive feedback, all the things. You all light up our life, and it's just, I don't know. I love this. It's amazing.
Same.
So thank you for letting us share our thoughts with you, and make it a great week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.